All right, so this is the factor theorem, okay? So the factor theorem states that if f of x is a polynomial, therefore f of c equals 0 if and only if x minus c is a factor of f of x. So what that means is if I was to evaluate the polynomial at a specific expression like x minus 2, and I was to plug that 2 in, if it gave me 0, then I could say this is a factor, because polynomial division also factors your polynomials. Okay, so when you've been doing the synthetic division and you had a remainder of 0, you actually factored your polynomial. Okay, so there's new ways to factor your polynomial other than what you learned in math 2. Okay, so if you plug that number in and it equals 0, then you can state that it is a factor of that polynomial. Okay, so if you look here, here's an example. It said let f of x equals 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 5x plus 6. It wants to know, is x minus 1 a factor? Okay, and it didn't want to factor it, it just wanted to know, is it a factor? An easy, quick way. Okay, so to find out if it's a factor, because that's a yes or no question, you changed your sign of your -1 to a 1. We plugged 1 into all of these x's. Okay, and when I plugged 1 into all of those x's, I got my answer to be a 0. So yes, it is a factor. Now, when we were doing synthetic division, and I told you, I'll tell you what the 0 means, in a couple days. Well, when you got a remainder of 0 when you were doing synthetic division, you actually factored that polynomial. So, looking right here at the synthetic division, this polynomial right here, the original polynomial, can be factored into 2x squared minus x minus 6 times x minus 1. Okay, that is this expression factored, okay, because it equals 0. All right, but we'll get more into that later. So, determine whether each binomial is a factor of f of x and write a conclusion. Okay, so I want to know if it's a factor. So you change your sign. So I want to change that +1 to a -1. So we're going to do f of 1 equals 1 cubed plus 4 squared plus 1 minus 6. Okay, so you're going to type all that into Desmos, and you're going to find out it's going to be, let's see, 5, 6, 0. So I found f of 1 to equal 0 when I plugged that into Desmos. Okay, now I want to make a conclusion about this situation. Okay, so well, the conclusion we can make is that it equals 0, right? So if it equals 0, we can say x plus 1 is a factor of f of x. Okay, that's the only conclusion I want you to make. It's just like in science when you make conclusions from your experiment. Okay, all right. So let's do another one. Okay, so it wants to know if x plus 3 is a factor. So you change the +3 to a -3. So we're going to be doing f of -3. Okay, so we're going to place all those x's with -3. All right, this one isn't as easy as 1, so we're just go to Desmos so I don't mess it up in my head. All right, so we're going to say parentheses, and since this is a negative number, I really, really highly suggest parentheses, okay? Typing it in, typing it in, typing it in. Make sure I'm typing it in right. And then minus 6. So this gave me an answer of 0 also. Yeah? Yeah, type it in right. All right, so now I can say f of -3 equals 0. So again, I can say x plus 3 is also a factor of f of x. Okay, I do believe I did this one right. 1, 5, yeah. Okay, so they're both factors. All right. So here, now we can do a little more high-level problems thinking about this. Okay, so we've already established that if it's a factor, it equals 0. Okay. So if we read this problem, it says, consider the polynomial f of x equals Now, when you're reading this equation, x cubed plus kx squared plus x plus 6, what is that? Right? Like, what is that? That's supposed to be a coefficient, isn't it? Okay? So it says find the value of k so that x plus 2 is a factor. So I want that to be a factor. Okay? That means when I plug in -2, this equation needs to equal 0, right? So when I say f of -2, I want it to equal 0. Okay? But I need to solve for k. Well, in order to solve for k, I need to know what f of x is, and I need to know what x is. Well, I do. I want f of x to equal 0 when I plug in -2 into my x's. So we're going to take all your x's and plug in -2. And we're going to leave k alone. Okay? And now you're going to solve just like you were in Math 1 again. Okay? So -2 cubed, you can use Desmos, okay? If you want to, or your handheld calculator if you got one. So -2 cubed is 8. -2 squared is 4, so I'm going to say 4k. Plus, well, plus minus, that just means a -2, and then plus 6. Okay, we're going to combine like terms. I can say 8 minus 2 plus 6. 8 minus 2 plus 6 gives me 12. So now I have 0 equals 4k plus 12. Keep solving. We got to get k by itself. So we're going to subtract 12. When I subtract 12, I get -12 equals 4k. Divide by 4, and k equals -3. And you're done. Okay? You just have to know that because I want it to be a factor, the equation has to equal 0 when I plug in the opposite of that factor into all of my x's. And then you just use your solving skills. Okay? All right. Let's do another one. Okay? Let's use orange. So, it says consider the following polynomial f of x. Well, I got another k there. Okay? I want to find the value of k so that x plus 3 is a factor. So that means when I say f of -3, I want it to equal 0. So that means f of x is going to be 0, and all of my x's are going to be -3. Okay? So let's write that out. All right. And just simplify each term. So -3 cubed gives me -27 plus -3 squared is 9 times 4. Well, what's 9 times 4? 36. So we're going to erase that and put 36. Plus, well, I'm going to switch that to -3k plus 15. Let's combine our like terms. -27, 36, and 15. That gives me 24. That negative makes that, so we're going to say -3k. Solve for k. -24 minus 24. I get -24 is equal to -3k. Divide by -3, and k equals 8. Okay? And this is what you're doing on Delta Math. So let's do one. Okay? Let's go to Delta Math. Let's do one of these problems that you're going to do today. It always takes so long to log into Delta Math, doesn't it? So I want to go to the assignment for today. Here we go. All right. So let's do one, okay? Trying to get as much white space as I can. Let's see here. All right. Snip it. Snip, snip, snip. So if you look, it's the same thing that we just did. You're solving for k, okay? So it says given f of x. See how k is right there? Okay. Let's go pink. See how k is right there? It says, and the remainder. Now this one, okay, I'm glad I did this one. This is a little different, okay? Sometimes it's not going to be a factor. It says that when f of x is divided by this, the remainder is 14. Well, remember, when you plug in opposite of that, so if I plug in f of positive 1, it equals the remainder, which is 14. Okay? So, that means when I plug in 1 to all these x's, my equation needs to equal 14, because remember, it equals the remainder. So this is combining both theorems. So it's going to say 1 cubed minus 6 times 1 plus k equals 14. Okay? So we're going to solve. 1 cubed is 1. 6 times 1 is 6 plus k equals 14. Combine your like terms. 1 minus 6 is negative 5 plus k. Get k by itself. We're going to add 5. So k equals 19. So if I was to go back to here, type in 19. Fingers crossed. Got it right. All right, let's do another problem like that. Okay? Yeah, here we go. Snip it. All right. So this one says, given f of x and the remainder when f of x is divided by x plus 3 is negative 74. So that is saying f of negative 3 equals negative 74. So that means when I plug in negative 3 to my x's, the equation should equal negative 74. So I'm going to say 3 times negative 3 cubed plus 3 times negative 3 plus k should equal negative 74. All right, we're going to simplify each term. I'm going to say 3 times negative 3 cubed, and I get negative 81. All I did was type that into Desmos, okay? Then I'm going to type this into Desmos. 3 times negative 3. That gives me negative 9. And then plus k equals negative 74. I can combine negative 81 and negative 9. And that gives me negative 90 plus k. That's a negative 74. So I'm going to add 90 to both sides. So I'm going to say negative 74 plus 90. And I get k to be 16. Okay? K is 16. All right. Now, let's see. It should have some that are a factor. Yes, so here we go. One last one we're going to do, okay? So this says f of x equals this, and you can see that my k is unknown. And it says x minus 1 is a factor. When it says it is a factor, that means f of opposite equals 0. So that means when I plug 1 into all of these x's, my equation should equal 0. So 1 cubed is 1, that's just 1k minus 6 equals 0. Combine like terms. 1 minus 6 is negative 5. Add the 5. 1k equals 5. K equals 5. Okay? So same thing, it's just it equals 0 instead of a number. Okay? And that's all you have to do today in your Delta Math. All right, guys? So let me know if you need any more help.